Class, your today's lecture is about technical writing. And while we are going to do technical writing, we are going to talk about its purposes and its functions. Let's start with the very first one, that is about the purpose of letter writing. When we say that what we need to have in purposes of technical writing, we talk about here that we are going to convey some information. That information is used to not only to make decisions for something, but for that we are heading towards the task uh, completion. The fulfillment of the task, or we have achieved a task, whatever the desire. So for that information to convey and to make the any decision on it, we need to write down our technical writing. Then technical writing is also used to analyze some events, some circumstances that happened, or some situations if they are created, and along with it they analyze the implications and failures of the system. Sometimes you have introduced a policy into the organization, or in any firm, so there you just failed, or anything that you launched, so if it is failed, it's not up to the mark. So for that reason you also try to write down technical writing. Then sometimes you need to persuade your point of view in front of someone, to convince on your point of view to someone, and to make to make the decision influenced one. So for that reason, what we do, we try to write down technical writing. When we do technical writing, then we talk about basically that what basically technical writing is. Technical writing always having a very specific and organized, specialized kind of structure, and that structure is along with some, you can say, some points that required into it for surely. So that's why it is said that it is a structured form of writing, well well informed, well organized, uh, specialized one, along with the uh, along with the use of vocabulary that is not a common one, but uh, that is according to the requirement of the technical writing. So we use when to convey for the information to our readers, we use this type of structured form of writing. This is called the technical writing. From technical, you can see the word technical writing, how structured, well structured it is going to be. So then when we talk about it, we say that what we need to do uh, it basically is adapted uh, according to the needs of the readers, or are the audience whom we are going to write it down, and according to their level of comprehensibility. If they are going to understand that technical writing clearly, that means the purpose of your writing that very document is going to be fulfilled. So it should be made according to their comprehension level. Don't try to make it that much complicated, so that it is on the one hand not going to fulfill their needs, but also on the other hand it is not going to give them a proper understanding on it. So later on, when we are going to talk about it, then we also saying how it is going to help to them. It is basically help to the readers to work on that very task that is asked into that writing. And it is also sometimes solve any conflict that happened between the organization, between the clients, between outer side of the organization. So internally and externally, if So if internally and external type of problem is arised within any organization, so you are going to write down our technical writing. So technical writing is basically documentation. Here, when we talk about characteristics of technical writing, along with some points from the 7 C's of communication, we need some other points that can make your technical writing the perfect one, that can make it as it should be. So for this purpose, if you can see the slide of characteristics, you will see the very first one point is about clarity. And we have talked in 7 C's of communication that clarity is required. With clarity there is conciseness. As much as you are like concise, you are going to make it more clear. So they are the 7 C's, they are basically related to each other. If one is missing in your writing, the other one is also going to be missed. So keep in mind, you have to write down according to it. When we talk about conciseness, the third point, that is about specific audience. You can't write down any like every type of writing to every person. It varies person to person. Like sometimes if you are going to write down a report to your uh, uh, to your you can say manager or your CEO, so that will be a different, that is a different audience. Similarly, if you are going to write down a memo, an in office memo, so you the members that are inside your office, you are going to write down that memo to them. You are not going to convey you can't convey that memo outside of your organization. So that means there you have selected your audience, that these are the following members whom I'm going to convey this through the documentation, through the documents. So that is your specific audience. So if we have selected this specific audience, then also we have a specific purpose for them. That means the writing that we have selected for the for example, in office memo, we can't write down this in office memo to any external organization. So specific audience always have a specific purpose. Similarly, you have to go for another one, that is accuracy. Accuracy belongs to the facts, and facts mean it will be correct on the one hand, and on the other hand you are not going to involve your personal into that writing. Your personals are not involved at all in the writing. Whatever you are going to write down in that documentation, it is based on only keep in mind the generality. It is not specifying you only. So everybody's benefits, everybody's point of views, everybody collectively, you are going to write it down. Similarly, the other C's of communication, that is correctness would be there, comprehensiveness is there, along with it accessibility. Accessibility to what? Accessibility to your content, accessibility to whatever the headings you have given to your writing, it should be there. So subheadings or the indexes that you have to mention into your writing, it should be accessible to the person whom you are going to write down this writing. So make it like that. When we say that characteristics are required, then we also say that how we can differentiate a technical writing from the creative writing. uh, See, in as you can talk about creative writing, you have idea about creative writing, that it is based on a writing that is fictional one. Sometime it is story type of, you are creating it, so it is not based on any facts, because your own you biasness is there, you have your point of views are included into it. So that it is sometimes going to be imaginative one, because all the thoughts that or all the statements that you have written into it, They are actually your thoughts, your imagination. You have made all these things into the mind. So it is an entertaining one, provocative one, or captivating type of writing. This writing mostly involves not the like the truth or facts that can be proved. So if it is this type of writing, there, that means this category falls under the creative writing, that is having some sort of interest, uh, that is also attractive, charming. So along with it, you have used some kind of figurative language to make it more charming, attractive. You symbolized, and when all these elements are present into our writing, that means it is not clear, it is vague one. And when it is vague one, it is subjective one. And a vocabulary that you have used, that is a generalized vocabulary, that is not specialized vocabulary. So you can easily differentiate creative writing from technical writing. Now it is total opposite of creative writing. Technical writing is going to be, now we are going to talk about it, like it is based on facts and figures. Whatever you are writing, it is truth. Nothing is imaginative, nothing is vague. Whatever you have written, it is conveying an information, and that information is persuasive one for the other person. So if persuasiveness is there, that means clarity and preciseness is there. If clarity and preciseness, the briefness, or you can say to the point things you have discussed, you have to be very straightforward. As we have discussed in the previous lecture, you can say, when we were doing letter writing, so there was a point that I have talked to you. You have to be very straightforward in your writing, to the point you are going to talk about. You are not going to put extra details. So this is what you have to do in it. Then objective one, it is an specialized vocabulary, as I have talked about, because creative writing is always with a general vocabulary, but technical writing, it has its own criteria of vocabulary. So you have to use the words accordingly. I will show you some slides that will describe you what is the use of vocabulary basically in technical writing as in specialized one. Then if we talk about style of the technical writing, style of the technical writing is basically uh, your way of writing, that a manner that you have selected to express whatever the point of views you're having, whatever the feelings you're having about that very agenda. So in a form of language, when you convey it on a piece of paper to your audience and you conveying an information, so that means you are providing that information to your reader, and that is a style that requires a manner. So when we say it's style, then we say that why technical writing requires, basically why we need to, being professionals in your life. If you are working within an organization, or whatever the profession you having, in any professional job, if on 60% you are doing your field work, or 80% you are going to do your field work, then trust me, 20% to 40% you are going to work through the documentation. You are playing your role, you are representing yourself, you are communicating with the people, or with the colleagues, or within, or internally or externally, uh, with the organization, through documentation. And documentation that with you are communicating, that is through technical writing. It falls in the under the category of technical writing. So for obviously, I'm sure there is no one who just doesn't want it to get good remarks from the organizations, or who doesn't want to achieve good rank into the organization. So for that reason, a person must have some different skills in writing, and their different skills require good knowledge. So you have a vast knowledge along with a good communication skills, so your technical writing will be up to the marks, and there you can uh, achieve your goal while you are versatile in your job profile. So obviously, I think you have seen most commonly whenever there is a job ad, they have written over there that a person should be perfect into the communication skills. So they just not means communication through orally you are going to someone. That means along with oral skills you must have good written skills, and on job level that writing skills included technical writing. There, when we talk about technical writing, that obviously what kind of technical writing is there? Some activities, and that activities, if you can see on the slide, we can also we have also done one of them, that is letters, you know, and we are already done with this type of technical writing, that is letters, memos, emails. What they do, they basically ask or answer queries, and they set some sort of agendas through these letters or the memos. We do agenda, we convey some agendas that we have. Then with these, along with it, the category that falls under it, wait a minute. I was on like what we need to do when we talk about in-house activities, or along with letters, memos, and emails, we also try to write down reports. And report writing is your next task that we are going to do after this introduction of technical writing. Then when we do report writing, then after that, let's see that how to start this technical writing. Obviously, if we are saying that it is specialized one and it is well structured, so then we are going to talk about like it is obviously having a specific purpose. So to convey that purpose through the documentation, we need key information of it. So for a specific purpose we require a specific information, so that will convey whatever that the point that we said, that task analysis. So it will be done with this point. So the second point of technical writing is we are going to also define whom we are going to write it down. When we are going to define this very thing, our audience, our readers, there we also have to define their level of understanding, as we have talked. So this is about your second point. It is going to fulfill your user need analysis. So we are done with this at the second point. That means you must have information about the knowledge of your audience. If you don't know your audience, you can't write down appropriately according to the requirement, according to up to the mark. So we have to keep in mind this very thing. Then if you are going to talk about the third level of the writing, the third level of the writing is based on the details of the writing. Details requires the documents details including all the necessary information. If you have written any information that is not having any supported information, that means you haven't completed your details, and your audience is not going to understand your level of or your message that you have conveyed through that documentation. So for this purpose we need to talk about, like we have to write it down, complete details. If a document requires some invoices of your product, you have to send that invoice along with that letter or memo or report, whatever. Then your fourth point is organizing that data. If you have sent that data in a mixed form, in a very mingled form. So that will be just uh, what can I say, that is going to be just a web for them. They are just going to be trapped into it. They will not clarify their points. So your data needs supported information to make it organized one. So each and everything should be organized in your technical writing. Here, please focus on this very slide. It's really important. Sometimes what we do, not keeping in mind the technicality of the writing, we try to use words that are not specialized one, that are not appropriate in this kind. Appropriate means in a sense like that are not uh, going to be suitable for this. So there what we have to, yeah, the very first sentence, sorry, word you can see, then the first one is appropriate. So we, what we do, we exchange appropriate sometime with the word fitting and suitable. So we normally use suitable more as compared to appropriate. So in creative writing it's fine, you can use suitable, but in technical writing you have to go the word appropriate. Similarly, assist is used in technical writing instead of help. Same, you are going to go for the cognizant authority instead of proper authority. Consider is used instead of think. Discontinue, uh, like replacing with the stop. Endeavor with try. Investigate with the study. Subsequent to mean later or after you are going to replace with it. So transmit will be used as compared to the sent. So these type of specialized word you have to add into your vocabulary, so you can write down a technical writing at professional level properly. And your role as a writer, what it should be. Your role as a writer includes some types of ethical principles. Ethical principles means you are not allowed to use a language that is not conveying correct information. That is not conveying an information uh, that that is not conveying an information that is truth based, but an information that can dodge someone, that can that can mm, that can playing with someone's knowledge or someone's interest. So don't try to use this type of writing in technical writing. Oh, yeah. And avoid a language that can possibly mislead leaders. So what, whenever you will use a invade language, evade language, or a language that is a dodgy one, so they are you are misleading your readers. So your terms will be fluctuated. Then don't try to de-emphasize or suppress that information that is course or central point of your whole document, that is core information, the most important one information. So always keep it on the top priority and put focus on it. Then if you are going to talk about, okay, sorry for this inconvenience. Then if you are going to talk about not to mislead, then you also put focus on the incorrect information. On the one hand, if you are not going to use a tricky language that can trap someone, but also you are not going to use any information that is incorrect, that is false one. So when you will fulfill all these ethical principles, there you will fairly and respectfully treat your audience. So it will show your true truthness, your sincerity towards them. So for your role as a writer in technical writing, you have to give credit where it is due. So be make it complete and consistent documentation of your sources information, so you can make it with the help of your readers, locate the information and do a follow-up research on it, whatever you have conveyed. And it also help you to support your position, your recommendations and your conclusions that you have added into the writing. And this will also help you not to copy the others, but also to create uh, your own your own writings. So you will not try to copy others, you will not plagiarize someone. Then if we are talking about style and usage of writing, there we talk about common elements of good writing. So common elements of good writings we need to avoid from the use of phrases. Phrases are basically short words, short statements. So don't try to use in any professional writing short words or short phrases. If you will do it, trust me, you are not going to get a good image. You are not going to correctly inform your audience everything. So please, if you are making this kind of, don't try to do it. Don't try to use some short alphabets as well in your writing. Guys, wait a minute. I'm sorry, class. This is so terrible today. Something is happening between the lecture. Okay, then the next one is, if we are going to talk about style and usage, then we have to also put focus on elements of the story. And if elements of the story are there in the style of sorry, not story, I mean in your technical writing, so that means in that style we have to put focus on those elements very clearly, because as much as the rest of the things are important, your perfect use of language is important as well. So for that reason we have to keep focus on the tenses and correct form of language. So that is the present tense, and along with present tense we have to go for the active voice. Then when we are going to talk about present tense and active voice, following examples I have given on the slide, if you people can see it, they will show you that how we need to make it. The very first statement is the material about the business application will demonstrate. Now in present tense, you have idea, as I have taught you the tenses, you know that we never try to use will. So you will see that how we have to convert this. The material about the business application demonstrates. So demonstrates is a word that is included into the present tense, that fall under the category of present tense instead of future. So will be replaced, will demonstrate will be replaced with demonstrates. Similarly, the second one statement, if you are going to read it, after reading this material, the board will determine appropriate actions. After reading this material, the board can determine appropriate actions. So it is again replaced. Similarly, if you will see in addition, minimize the use of gerunds. Please don't try to use gerund words like the verbs that are ending with ing. Don't try to use, they always they always come with the ambiguity. They never try to clarify your meaning. So don't try to use gerunds in your writing. You will see the example here. Now, what is the example? Advocate requesting state assistance when available. So request state assistant when available. Simple statement, simple one and clear one. So it means active voice and present tense and direct, they are just not bringing true structure but also clarity in the statements. So that's why try to use it. And it also it is said that they give energy to your writing, so we have to use it in technical writing. Then elements of the style, when we have focused on the tenses and active and direct. So there we also have to use the sentence structure. Your sentence structure must be very simple one. Don't try to go for the complicated type of statements, because we are not writing essay where we can go for uh, 4 to 5 statements without any pause and full stop. So it should be the simple statement. So don't split by just split your statements into two simple sentences. Don't try to make it a huge paragraph based. Then yes, gender neutrality is required into technical writing. As you know, this is for the job, on the job we use it. For professional level, uh, on professional level we use technical writing. So there, to support this writing, what we need to do, we need to use general neutrality, because sometimes instead of using chairman, chairwoman, we need to use chairperson. So chairperson is a neutral word that can be used for the men and women both. So these type of words you can use to avoid the biasness towards the gender. Then element of the style also includes abbreviation and acronyms. If you have used abbreviation and acronyms, please spell out them complete as well with it. Don't try to go for it. And all the things that you have mentioned into it, made them into the numbers or the bullets or the lists. So go for this while writing. Elements of writings are also required. Figures, tables, cross references, footnotes and endnotes are there if you have made that document. So sidebars are also there. So all these elements are according to the requirement. I'm not saying in every type of technical writing all of these will be there. Some of them, some of your document may require figures and tables only, and the other one may require footnotes and endnotes, then cross references. So every time 2 to 3 elements from them you can choose it. Then elements of style is also include redundancy. When we talk about redundancy, then we have to keep in mind that uh, instead of other significant features of the program, including expense report, details, payroll, we have to use a significant program of bullets instead of making into the paragraph. So don't try to use them in the paragraph writing, but go for the bullets as we have discussed earlier. Then we will move towards our final draft. When we will keep all these things into the mind, there we will create our final draft. Now, because now we are sure that we have fulfilled every requirement of the technical writing. So when we are going to fulfill these requirements, when we fulfilling it, then please always try to review your own document until you are going to make the final draft. So if anything is left into it, you can edit it, because once you have handed over to someone, you will not edit it. Some words that are used and they are waste words for, and some phrases we need to avoid. The lists are given to you, you can read it, and don't try to use in any technical writing these type of words. Some words that are very confused one, that brings ambiguity in writing, you have to avoid from these words and phrases as well. So don't try to go for it. Function of technical writing is basically what? Function of technical writing is your message is conveyed on the piece of paper in a written form and in an official manner, not in a manner that is not official. For inofficial purposes, you never try to do it. So this is basically the function that is done through whole this writing. And with that, thank you so much, guys. If there is any question, you can ask.